Hello, people of the internet. This is Joseph the Radio Demon 1957 here, and today this will be my very first audio story that I will read to you all. And I pretty much make stories based on my creativity and inspiration from time to time. I was pretty much inspired by other audio story YouTubers out there in the YouTube world, and this inspired me to make my own audio stories to share with you guys. So this will be my very first audio story, and I hope you guys enjoy. Today's story is called Lynn and the Ghost Train, so I hope you all enjoy. It was a cool autumn afternoon in Royal Woods. Lincoln and Lucy were sitting outside under a tree, relaxing, when Lynn popped by. "What are you two doing?" Lynn asked. "We're just sitting here watching the leaves fall," Lincoln responded. "Listen, Lincoln, I'm heading to my soccer tryouts and I need you to join me," Lynn said to Lincoln. "Sorry, Lynn, but I'm going out with Lucy to her poetry club. Maybe next time," Lincoln responded back. This made Lynn angry. She grabbed Lincoln by the collar of his shirt and glared at him. "Lincoln, you're going with me, or else I'll be using you as a punching bag for a whole year," Lynn snapped. Lincoln, for once, wasn't scared, nor did he even flinch at Lynn making fists at him. This made Lynn look a little tense and decided to put him down, seeing that he didn't even react to her fists. "Lincoln's right, Lynn. And besides, you can't do anything to him. Also, there was an old story I heard from a friend of mine. It was about a railroad engineer who was like you, stuck up, snobby, and a total hotshot. He was like you until he met an untimely fate," Lucy replied. "Who is this engineer, and what does he have anything to do with me?" Lynn asked, slightly annoyed. "Let me tell you the story, and you'll figure out the rest," Lynn replied. Lynn decided to take a seat on the leaves and listen to Lucy's story. "Go on, I'm listening." "Very well, I shall begin," Lucy replied. And so she began her story. This story takes place a long time ago in an unknown rail yard outside of town. There was an engineer who had no name. People only called him the hotshot engineer because he was a show-off and he didn't care about others except being on time and never late. He always boasted about other times he was never late once, and he wasn't shy on calling out other engineers who were late or had errors or mistakes. This made everyone annoyed whenever he was around. One night, he had been delayed by 15 minutes by a faulty trackside signal with a passenger train. After the signal was fixed, the hotshot engineer jumped back in the cab and threw open the throttle and sped off to make up for lost time. He was driving his engine recklessly down the tracks. He soon came to a tall bridge. The speed limit was 45 miles per hour, and the engine the hotshot engineer was on was doing 75 miles per hour. As the engine thundered onto the bridge gave way and collapsed under the engine, taking it and all of the coaches down with it into the chasm below. The engine, its crew, and all of the passengers were never found again. But the people, including the railroad crew of other trains, will tell you that when the fog is down and the area becomes deathly quiet, you can hear the sounds of a steam engine rushing across the bridge, along with the sounds of a derailment, followed by the screams and cries of the passengers. And when the fog clears, the only thing you'll see is the remains of a burning train wreck. Lucy finished her story and gave Lynn a sinister glare, which made Lynn shudder a little. And tonight happens to be the night of the engine's crash. You might want to keep your eyes and ears open for when you see the ghostly specter of the ghost train on the bridge tonight, Lucy reminded her. "Lucy, that was the most bogus story I've ever heard. Now if you'll excuse me, I have soccer tryouts to get to." Lynn left without saying another word. Lincoln and Lucy looked at each other, knowing that Lynn is about to have an encounter with the ghost train tonight, and they would be right. While Lynn was at her soccer tryouts, she couldn't focus because Lucy's story kept playing on her mind. After the tryouts were over, the coach spoke with Lynn about being distracted. She was listening to what he was saying, but she looked like she was nervous about something. The soccer coach noticed this. "Lynn, are you all right? You seem a bit nervous. Is something bothering you?" the soccer coach asked. "No, coach. It's just a stupid story my sister told me." "What story did she tell you?" the soccer coach asked. Lynn decided to tell her coach the whole story about the hotshot engineer and what Lucy told her. After she finished, the coach looked at her with a concerned look. "I remember my dad telling my sister that exact story a long time ago when I was around your age. She first didn't believe it, like you did. And I remember that one night my sister was running late and getting home. Soon we saw her running up the street and into her house before locking up the door quickly. We looked at her and we saw that she was extremely frightened. She was awfully pale. She was sweating badly. We asked her what was wrong, but she didn't respond. She only said there was a burning train wreck at the bridge." Lynn's stomach sank when she heard that. Oh, that's so sad. I'm so sorry that happened," Lynn said. "Don't worry, Lynn. She's fine now. Just needed a rest is all," the soccer coach replied. Lynn decided to call it a night. She bid farewell to her coach and left for home. Unknown to her, Lincoln and Lucy were watching her from the shadows as she left for home. Lynn wasn't sure if she wanted to believe the story Lucy told her. She knows that the story isn't true, but at the same time, her coach did say that her sister was told that story before, and later got a fright from something that freaked her out, but she didn't know what freaked her out that badly. Lynn was pondering on the thought of the story just as she came near the old bridge from the story, and when she did, the fog came down, very thick and heavy, and the moonlight's bright light became blocked. Lynn found it very difficult to see, even when she squinted her eyes. She was trying to adjust her eyesight into the dense fog when she heard the sound of an engine's whistle in the distance. Lynn looked at her digital watch. "That's strange," Lynn said. "I thought this bridge had been abandoned by the railroad years ago." She squinted her eyes through the fog and saw a faint silhouette of a steam engine racing through the fog and onto the bridge, and the bridge collapsed underneath it. Lynn then heard the sounds of derailing cars and echoing screams and cries of people coming from the coaches. She then heard a massive explosion. The explosion was so bright, Lynn can make out a silhouette of a derailed train wreck from the explosion's bright light. Lynn was shocked and horrified by what she was experiencing, and as soon as the fog cleared a little, Lynn almost fainted from fright when she saw the burning remains of a train crash at the bottom of the chasm. Lynn, driven by fear, ran as fast as she could back home, and when she did, she noticed that everyone at home was asleep. So Lynn locked the door as quickly and as quietly as she could before quickly taking a shower and racing quietly into her room as quickly as possible before getting into bed and completely enclosing herself in her blankets. Then she heard Lucy whisper from below her. "Don't say I didn't warn you, Lynn," Lucy whispered. Lynn was too shocked and horrified by what she experienced. She now remembers what the soccer coach's sister said. "We asked her what was wrong, but she didn't respond. She only said there was a burning train wreck at the bridge." Lynn now remembers why the soccer coach's sister freaked out and became horrified. She saw the ghost train and the ghost of the hotshot engineer driving it. Poor Lynn was scared and horrified by what she had seen. Even through to the next day, she was still in a state of shock from last night's encounter. Her family asked her what the problem was, but she was unresponsive. She only said, "There was a burning train wreck at the bridge." The family looked at her, was confused at first. but decided not to question her further. Rita called her soccer coach and explained what happens. The soccer coach soon became concerned and told Rita that Lynn isn't in trouble. He told her that she just saw something horrifying and deserves to take the rest of the week off to recover from her traumatic event. Rita and the rest of the family decided to stay with her in order to help her recover quicker, but no matter how much they tried, they couldn't get Lynn to calm down quick enough. She did recover like normal, but whenever the subject of the encounter was brought up, she would get defensive and a little frightened, because she didn't want to mention that she had encountered the ghost train along with the ghost of the hotshot engineer at the old bridge, and she thought that the story wasn't true and was nothing more than a story meant for spooks and scares. Hope you guys enjoyed that story. This story took me a little bit of time to create and improvise. And also, if you did hear me stutter a little bit and make little errors along the story, please don't mind them. I sometimes have a little bit of a hard time reading stories like this. Well, not like this, but sometimes I just have a little bit of trouble reading stories sometimes. But this story took me a bit of time to create, and it was pretty much improvised and devised by me. So I hope you guys enjoy that story, and I'll see you next time, and happy Halloween.